Look, you don't understand. There is a maniac trying to kill us.
Welcome to New York.
You mean Vancouver, right? Alright everybody, it's time to talk about Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. I've been looking forward to this one because I know I have a lot to say about it. This is the most I've written down for any review, so buckle up. So, if you haven't seen my other reviews, I'll leave a link. I got 7 reviews, very long, very in-depth, and so is this one, very in-depth. So, Friday the 13th Part 8 tells the story about Jason being resurrected once again, possibly years later, I don't know. Timeline's wishy-washy. Who knows what year it is? Probably 2002. Is there Twin Towers in New York in this movie? I don't know. We never really get to see the Twin Towers. But whatever. It's 2000-something in this movie, although it doesn't look like it. This is the most 80s looking and feeling Friday the 13th movie out of all of them. The soundtrack, the hair, the guitar lady. It's very 80s. But Jason's back. He kills a couple of kids on a boat and then takes their spot on a cruise ship to go kill other random ass people who are celebrating their graduation. And they're going to New York, and he chases their ass to New York as well. That's the plot synopsis. Now let's get into the movie itself. Now, the original concept for this movie was supposed to be a lot of it in New York, supposedly. That's what the director/writer said, Rob Hedden. He had this vision for fights between, Julius and Jason and Madison Square Garden, the Statue of Liberty, this place, that place, but instead all we got was Times Square. And that's it. The subways are Vancouver, the alleyways are Vancouver, I'm sure the diners Vancouver, all Vancouver. But Kane Hodder said that he never read any script that had all those locations being used. The script he read, he said, was basically what we got. The studios gave this movie like $1 million to work with. I don't know why. These movies always brought in over 10 easily, especially the first half of this franchise. They always brought in, locally in America, like 20 million. I mean, this one made what, like 14 million gross? This is the last Paramount film before it got sold to New Line, and they had to get rid of that Friday the 13th title. It became Jason Goes to Hell, Jason X, and it's a bummer that had to happen, because ever since it went to New Line, the franchise just got weird. Every movie was just its own standalone thing. It went way off the timeline. There's no continuity anymore with New Line Cinema. This is the first Friday the 13th to not have Harry Manfredini credited as a composer. I don't think he worked on the 7th one, but they gave him a credit because Fred Mullen used a lot of his cues from the other films. But in this one, it's a whole new score done by Fred Mullen, who worked on the Friday the 13th TV series. The working title was Ashes to Ashes, and supposedly there was supposed to be like Tina from Part 7 coming back, but I guess maybe Laura Park Lincoln asked for too much money, but they scrapped that, and we got all these new people, and they even fired a guy in this movie for bad acting, which is just hilarious because everybody's bad in this movie, almost all of them. There's a deleted death scene that I thought was very funny. There's a boxer guy with darts in his eyes. It's on the deleted special features of this DVD, and it's weird that they took it out because there's so many people on this cruise ship, and we only get to see a few of them die. So the fact that they took out any of the death scenes is just odd. A couple little interesting facts about the teaser poster and trailer. The poster, which I love, the teaser one with the I Heart New York and Jason slashing through it, that's actually a poster I own because that's how much I love it. It was banned at the time. You can still see it now, obviously, but they were using it as their teaser poster for this movie, and it got banned because I guess New York didn't want their city to be associated with Jason Voorhees. In the teaser trailer with Jason, that's not Kane Hodder, and Kane Hodder to this day is pissed that he didn't get to play Jason in the trailer, and he hates the way the actor in that trailer stands and moves. It just pisses him off. Now, this is the second Friday the 13th movie to be written and directed by the same person. We had Tom McLaughlin in Part 6. Now we got Rob Hedden, and he wrote this ending the way that it is because he wanted to make the last one. The reason why this ending is so fucked up and so out there is because he wanted to put an end to Jason to where no one could even try to pick up from here, continuity wise. Where do we go from here? So that's the reason why it sucks. Ken Kirzinger, who goes on to play Jason in Freddy vs. Jason, he's actually in this movie, and he's a stunt guy. He's the stunt double for Kane Hodder in this movie. There's a couple of scenes where we get to see him as Jason. One, in the alleyway when he gets hit by Rennie driving the cop car, and two, in the subway system when he falls on the electricity panel and gets electrocuted. Another interesting fact is that there's this whole subplot of the school closing in Crystal Lake. Like, the only high school, all the schools are closing in Crystal Lake, and this graduating class is the last class to graduate, and I guess that's why Jason's killing them all. Like, these are the last teenagers to graduate in my city, so I gotta take them all out. I don't know why they took that subplot out. It's the only thing that explains why he's so hell-bent to kill these kids. So this is the second time that Kane Hodder got to wear the mask and be Jason. And he got the role because he asked and said, hey, can I do it? And they're like, sure. Nobody else ever asked to do it again. And they gave him a 40% raise that he didn't ask for. And he was wearing a strap-on set one day. There's a deleted scene, like some kind of like goof, what do they call it, like blooper reels, where he's wearing a strap-on the boat at the beginning, which is pretty funny. Even though he likes to act like he takes the role so seriously, nobody should make fun of Jason, but he's wearing strap-ons on set, and he's scaring kids on set. There's a story in his book about kids throwing rocks at him, and then he got up and like threw their bikes. And then, and there's a scene in this movie that he was supposed to kick a dog, and then he said, no, that's not Jason. So he was like fighting for certain scenes to be taken out. What he should have fought for was the ending. Take that shit out. But Kane Hodder has went on to say in interviews that he doesn't hate the ending. He just thinks it's definitely different. Kane even brought up the look of Jason in this movie to the wardrobe and special effects people, like, hey, this doesn't look like Jason in Part 7, and we're supposed to pick up after that. And they basically just said, meh, whatever. Alright, so now let's get into my personal likes and dislikes. What do I like about Jason Takes Manhattan? First up, I like that this movie tries something different. It's a bit refreshing after 7 movies in the woods, killing teenagers. What they do in this one, they just change the setting, but they do the same shit. Not as good. But I like that it tried something different. I like that we actually do get to see Jason in a new setting in New York. The one scene that we really get to see Jason in Times Square. It's one of the most iconic scenes of the franchise. It's what stands out in this movie. It's what everyone remembers. It's Kane Hodder's personal favorite moments playing Jason, especially in this film. Just being in Times Square, hundreds of people around, screaming his name. Great scene. So, love seeing Jason in Manhattan, the little that we get to see, and I really like the continuity. It still is trying to have some continuity with Part 7. We actually get to see where Jason was last left off at the bottom of the lake with all the dock on top of him, the chains where the dad dragged him down somehow. Where's the dad? Did they ever retrieve his body? Like I said, I think that was a figment of Tina's imagination at the end, but whatever. Let's not talk about that. I like that this movie has no recap at the beginning, like a montage, no more. I'm sick of that crap. So thank you, Jason Takes Manhattan, and thank you for not having a fake out dream sequence. The second half of this franchise, I think, did away with it because, honestly, doing it 5 times in a row is too redundant. 1 through 5 did the fake out dream sequence endings, and then 6 through 10 did away with it, thankfully. Another positive for this movie is just one character alone. There's only one good character, and that is Julius.
What are you taking, Julius? Nothing. But this gun.
He's the only character in this movie that fights back. He's the only character who really beats the shit out of Jason outside of Sheriff Garris. So that alone makes him a standout character who actually has some funny lines in this movie. He's the only one that really stands out from the pack because all these other characters are very blah. And my last final positive will be Kane Hodder. I think he does a much better job in this movie. He didn't do too much in Part 7. He did a lot of stunts and whatnot, but in the kill scenes, he's not as vicious as he is in this one. All the kill scenes in this movie, he's really like aggressive with his victims, throwing them around, dragging them into alleys, kicking windows and mirrors open, and just he's brutal in this one. So Jason is a step up performance-wise by Kane Hodder. Not saying I dislike him in Part 7, I just think this one's a step up in performance by Kane Hodder. And I guess one more positive I'll throw in here is that the kills are a slight step up from Part 7. There's still no gore, but the kills aren't so choppy. It's not so obvious that something's missing and it got cut out. We get to see a lot more on screen, while at the same time, still not a whole lot to today's standards. I feel like this one tried to be less bloody and more creative. Now the rest is just negatives. I have like a love-hate relationship with this movie. Some viewings I love it, some viewings I hate it. On this viewing, I did not like it almost at all. One thing I gotta point out that's obvious is that this movie doesn't really take place in New York City. It takes place in New York City for about 10 minutes max. Like, just the Times Square stuff, and that's it. Everything else that's supposed to look like New York is Vancouver. So, mismarketing, I have to point it out, it's a disappointment. This is the most disappointing sequel in the whole franchise. It's the one that had the most potential to be awesome, and this is the movie that we need a remake today with the budget. Imagine seeing Jason actually take Manhattan today with today's gore and today's awesome filmmaking equipment and technology that we have today. We could make a kick-ass, beautiful Friday the 13th movie in New York City. Make it happen, Hollywood. Another thing is just the characters. This is 2 movies in a row where there's 2 dickhead characters that you just want to see die, and the rest are all very bland, one-note caricatures that you're just waiting to see die. And there's hardly any tension in this movie. It's just death scene, death scene, death scene with no build-up. It's just very quick with the death scenes. They're just back-to-back, and everything else is just filler, just bad dialogue and horrible acting from all these people. It's got easily one of the worst final girls, the least interesting final girl of them all. They try to give her some kind of connection with Jason, like some kind of history together, and it just feels so convenient that they just so happen to be on the ship together, and forced. It feels forced. It's unnecessary. Just take all that shit with her character out of the movie, and it would do it good. And another thing that irritates me to no end, probably one of the things that I just fucking despise the most in this movie, besides the ending, is all the visions of Kid Jason. Because Rennie has that history with Jason, we get to see all these stupid little hallucinations and visions of Kid Jason, and in every single one of them, he looks different. He goes from like having full hair to having a little bit of hair to having no hair, having a little bit of a droopy face and green slime, no slime, looking kind of Asian in one part. It just goes all over the fucking place. I don't know what they're trying to say with that. Is that I can't explain it. I could try, but it wouldn't make sense. So what the fuck is up with all those different looks? Makes no sense. It's so dumb. It feels like something out of a Nightmare on Elm Street movie with all that purple fog coming out of the mirror, all these little mini dreams that she's having, these daydreams. Take it out. It's so odd. It doesn't make sense, and it's annoying. The score, the worst. The soundtrack, I know a lot of people love that opening song and the end song. I think it's annoying. I hate it, all right? And even the key, 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 ma, 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 it's not even that. If you listen closely, not even closely, if you just have your ears open and you listen to the opening logo of Paramount, listen to it. I'll play it right now. What the fuck was that? That is not key, 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 ma, ma, ma. What? That is just, what is that? So many things in this movie irritate me to no end. And then the pace of the movie is just very quick in moments and slow in the opening. Like, the opening is very slow. It just takes forever for the fucking kills to get going on the boat. But then once the kills start happening, it's just death scene, death scene, death scene. Like I said, no tension in this movie. It's not trying to be scary at all. It's not trying to be funny either. So you're just sitting there watching mediocre kills the whole time. Hardly any gore. The kills are somewhat creative, but they're not awesome enough to save the film. Now let's talk about the look of Jason. His amazing ability to teleport at least 6 times in this movie. He teleports a couple of times in New York. He teleports on the dock of the ship. He teleports in the dance club of the ship. He's teleporting everywhere. And hell, even the fucking dog in this movie teleports. And Sean at one point. And I will point it out later. Everybody in this movie is just teleporting. I hate that ability with villains in horror movies because it's just a convenience and it makes you ask questions like, why isn't he teleporting in this situation and here and here? And where was this ability in the other 5, 6 movies that he was in? What the fuck is... It's the director. It's horrible direction and horrible writing from Rob Hedden. Why is Jason teleporting now? Because he's been powered by electricity? It's just dumb. And his look, awful. Just awful. Even just the makeup on the arms, the bacteria or whatever's growing, like all the side of his head, all of it just looks bad. The face reveal, get out of here. Just one of the worst faces of Jason in this movie. He looks like a fucking sock puppet. That's right, and Jason gets to scream in this movie while showing his awful, ugly face. And last but not least, the ending. The ending is the worst in the franchise. It's like Rob Hedden saw part 7 and heard everybody's criticism of it and was like, oh yeah, you think that's bad? Hold my beer, I'll show you a bad ending. And we got this. All because he wanted to make the last movie. All because he wanted to do something different. But that is just dog shit. It's inexplicable. It's retarded. So final thoughts. This is a very disappointing sequel. It really is a downgrade in the franchise. You know, I mean, part 7 and 8, it just keeps going down. The kills are not that great. There's just a couple. This is a movie where all you really need to do is just watch a death montage and you'll get all the entertainment you need from this film. The characters are weak. The acting is bad. The dialogue is horrible. The ending is trash. The look of Jason is a major step down from the amazing look in part 7. Kane Hodder does a little bit better. He's a little bit more aggressive and great in the role as Jason in this movie. A step up from part 7. But it's just a bad movie. Sorry. So when it comes to Jason Takes Manhattan, I have to say that this movie is wasted time. Alright, time for the spoiler discussion. One thing I want to quickly point out is the Asian guy in this New York montage in the beginning. He looks at the camera twice and he has the cheesiest fake smile ever. So, and then we get this couple on the boat. They're in front of Crystal Lake. The 2 houses from the 7th movie are gone. Well, one blew up, but the other one is taken down. Now there's a whole new camp, so who knows what year it is anymore. It's years later, whole new camp. Jason's still in the water. They drop the anchor. They electrocute him and bring him back to life. And meanwhile, there's a DJ on the radio from New York City, and he somehow knows about this small little podunk town in New Jersey. Like, I dedicate this song to the graduating class of Crystal Lake. That makes no sense. How does he know about this small graduating class? And it's a small graduating class. When you see all the people on that boat, it's like 40 people at the most. So it's a very small city. How does this DJ in New York City know about them? And then he goes on to say that their graduation is on Friday the 13th. Of course it is. Of course. Maybe that's why Jason's killing them. So don't have your graduation on Friday the 13th. That's the lesson. So instead of a opening recap like some of the other movies in this franchise, they have the character retell the story to his girlfriend. And while doing that, for some reason, they reshot Jason drowning with all his hair and no deformities to his face. Fuck you. I can't stand it. Like, already, 2 minutes into the movie, I'm pissed off. Actually, 0 seconds into the movie. Because as soon as it starts, we get that but it's not ma ma ma. Like I said earlier, what the hell was that? So automatically I'm pissed off when this movie starts. And then we get this stupid recap storytelling with a reshot drowning of the kid as if of Jason Voorhees, as if we needed that. It's so dumb. Another thing that's dumb is, how does this guy have the mask that looks exactly like it was before with the axe mark in it? Why does he have a hockey mask with the axe mark in it? Is it like known in the city. Like, it's just been so long, and the stories of Jason have, like, somehow just everybody knows what he looked like. Maybe there was newspaper clippings with his picture that he saw, so when he bought a mask, he kind of decorated it himself and, like, put the axe mark in there himself. Like, it makes no sense that that axe mark is in that mask that he just so happens to have. So Jason gets resurrected, and we get to see the new look Slime Jason. And he has not been practicing his harpoon since part 3, so he's a little rusty. In part 3, he got Vera from like a mile away. In this movie, he's like 10 feet away from Susie and misses somehow. And then kills the Jared Leto looking guy by stabbing him with that harpoon. I always thought that the yellow cords like hanging off of it were his intestines as a kid. As an adult, I know better. But yeah, just as a kid, I thought that those were his intestines. I was like, oh, look, some gore. But no. So, yeah, then we get the slowest death in the entire franchise. It should have, like, Jeopardy theme music playing over it as he's slowly stabbing her with the harpoon that he missed her with earlier. It's almost like he was offended. Like, oh, I missed her, bitch. Got the thing off the wall. Like, I'll do better next time. I'll make sure it gets her. It's just so drawn out. And why she didn't jump off the boat beats me. Like, there's the land, there's shore right there. Not even like 30 feet from their boat. It wouldn't be that hard to swim to shore. So it's just lazy writing. Then we see the graduating class of like 40 people, and it dwindles down very quickly to like 10 people. I guess they didn't have enough money to show 40 deaths. That's what this movie should have been. They should have had a lot more kills, like a montage of them. But the boat's called the Lazarus, which is very ironic. And we see Jason has taken the boat from Crystal Lake to the Atlantic Ocean. Do you know of any lakes in New Jersey that connect to the Atlantic Ocean? Let me know. So that's a logic issue right there. And he just grabs the chain, climbs on up. Now he's going to go kill these motherfuckers. Why? Because the people he killed were going to be there? He's like taking their spot. Like he's going to stay in their room. He saw their ticket or something. Like, oh, I'll go take their spot. Why is he going there? Like, this goes against the mythos, the legend of Jason Voorhees. He's territorial. Like, you go in his territory, your game. He'll fucking kill you. But these people are miles away. Why is he going after them? Like, they could have wrote an explanation in there, but they don't give you any. Like, this movie could have been, like, some people went to Camp Crystal Lake and, I don't know, off the top of my head, they stole Mrs. Voorhees' head. Like, they found it. Like, it's still out there in Crystal Lake. They stole her sweater. They stole her head. They stole something, and it woke Jason up from the grave because, no one takes Mama's head. And they took it, and they're like, hey, this is that thing from the story. This is probably worth money. I don't know, something like that. And therefore, he has to go chase their ass to a train, not a boat. A train that goes to New York City so that the explanation of how he gets there makes more sense. Because, like I said, the lake connected to the ocean, that's not logical at all. So, yeah, they could have wrote a better way to get Jason to Manhattan. I mean, I'm not a writer, but I think I could come up with a better reason. I think I just did. And then we see this new Ralph, and he's honestly only in this movie just to be the new Ralph. He's fan service. It's for people like me to be like, oh yeah, look, he's kind of like Ralph in part 1 and 2, and that one guy in 3. That's it. He does nothing. He dies off camera. He does nothing. He's just that guy warning them, this voyage is doomed. And then JJ, the guitar chick, I'm surprised how much these people were able to bring onto the boat. Like, Rennie can bring her dog. There's people with guns shooting flying discs. Like, these people are graduating. They're like 18. They wouldn't be just giving out guns to all these reckless 18-year-olds. Like, here, go shoot some discs. Like, they could shoot other people. Like, it's just dangerous. So they're bringing guns. This chick was allowed to bring her electric guitar. Whatever. And then it's a shame that she's the first one to die. She seemed interesting. She seemed very wild and fun. And then she just gets banged in the face with her own guitar. Talk about bang your head. And then we get our first Rennie vision of Jason in the window. Why is he there? It's just so dumb. And then we got the typical bitch in this movie. This is like this movie's like Melissa. She's doing cocaine, and then Rennie sees her doing cocaine, and because she's scared she's gonna go rat her out, she goes and pushes her off the boat into the ocean. It's like this ship is moving probably fast. Like she could have got left behind, but I don't know. It's just a very dangerous thing she did, and she's like so whatever about it. Like, wasn't that funny? And like, she is just a cunt, and you want to see her die. And then for some reason there's a sauna on this ship, and we get this kill that was actually added in post-production, I heard. And this is probably my second favorite kill in the movie. I won't spoil my favorite, but we get to actually see the rock go through the chest cavity and like light his insides on fire. I was shocked that we actually got to see that. And it's just another example of how vicious Jason is in this movie. And for some reason he's still sticky and slimy. Like, he's slimy the entire movie. He never gets dry because he's just always getting rained on, I guess. Like, the rain comes and that's why he's slimy. Then he goes swimming later on, but he's just always slimy. Like, at some point he would be dry. One little tiny thing that just made me laugh, I don't know why, but when Rennie falls into the water and they bring her back up, oh, and Rennie fucking sees Jason again. We get the second vision of Jason when she's in the water. Looks down, there he is, grabbing at her. Ugh. But when she gets dragged back on, when she gets pulled back up, the boyfriend goes to get towels, and when he comes back, he just hands them to the not the mom. I used to think the teacher was the mom growing up. The teacher. It just made me laugh. It's like the wet person's over there, and you threw the towels at the dry person. It was just a little thing that made me laugh. Oh my god. So then after that vision of him in the water, when she's down there, she goes and dries off in her room, and we get another vision of Jason that can go fuck itself. And then, like, that biology project thing, like, okay, so this chick was allowed to go on the ship despite the fact that she never finished her big biology project. He's just like, oh, I'm not going to let you leave the ship once it docks in New York. It's like, well, she shouldn't have joined the ship at all if she never finished her project. I have a little theory about Charles. I think he killed Rennie's parents, and he's been molesting Rennie. Just look at how he acts with Tamara when she's doing that biology project. And she's making out with him, and he's kind of into it at first, but then he's like, no, I can't do this. I think he raped Rennie. And that explains how she's so fucked up and why she keeps seeing all these visions of Jason. I think he raped her, and I think he killed her parents, because we hear that her parents died in a car accident or something like that, and he's so overprotective of her, and he wants everybody to, like, be gone out of her life. Like, no one's allowed to be in her life. He hates the teacher for bringing her there. He hates the boyfriend for even touching his, lover, because I think he fucked her. So that's my theory. I think Charles is a pedophile. So anybody else? So then we get 3 kill scenes back to back. We got Tamara getting it in the shower, and she gets out of the shower, sees Jason sneaking into her room, and then he like throws her. She like falls into the mirror. He punches it open, grabs a shard of glass, and stabs her to death with it. And behind the scenes, to get her comfortable to get naked in that scene, the director actually got naked with her, I heard. And somehow Jason positioned the captain on the steering wheel, like he's holding onto the steering wheel, standing up, even though he's dead. How did Jason do that? And then, like, the boyfriend tells Rennie to go drop the anchor, as if she knows where that is and how to do that. And there's a killer on the loose, and you're going to go send your girlfriend off on the ship by herself to go drop the anchor? That is a dumbass decision. There is a line from the Ralph in this movie. He says, he came down river. And that's like the only line that explains how he made it to the Atlantic Ocean. But Crystal Lake is Crystal Lake, not Crystal River. And then we get the dance floor kill. Kelly Hu's character, whatever her face is, she goes to the dance floor, and there's nobody on the ship. Like, there's nobody around. They're all dead, I guess. And Jason, he's right there. And then she looks over there, and he's over there. And now he's over there. And then he just sneaks up on her somehow and, like, strangles her to death and lifts her off the ground, throws her to the ground. That stunt woman took a hit. The way she hits the ground, it looks painful. And then Wayne, the video guy who's always filming everything, he accidentally kills somebody because he's blind. He loses his glasses, and we see his vision, and it's blurry as hell. But then when he puts his camera up to his eye and he uses like the night vision, he can see crystal clear, as if his camera is like a contact lens for him that can make everything clear. That makes no sense. But then he just gets his ass electrocuted and then set on fire. And I like that Jason hits the fire alarm. It's just a little thing that made me laugh. Like Jason actually wanting to hit the fire alarm. Like, oh, there's a fire. I know what to do. It's like, why would he do that? Why would he alert other people? Like, oh, whoops, my bad. And then we get another teleporting scene where this purple jacket wearing guy is running from Jason. And then when he gets around the corner, there's Jason. And then he climbs up the pole. And Jason is standing down there for like 10 seconds, giving him a 10-second head start. And somehow teleports up the pole and catches up with him to throw him down. And then we get another fucking vision of boy Jason, except this one's interrupted by real Jason, who attacks Rennie, but then she stabs him in the eye with the pen that Stephen King once used. Bullshit. Julius gets thrown off the boat and then somehow doesn't drown. Like, he's down there a while. Like, between him falling into the water and them getting onto, like, the boat, the little, like, lifeboat down there, it's a pretty decent chunk of time. So, like, how is he, like, still next to the ship? I don't think they ever actually dropped an anchor, so that ship's still going full sail. How did he catch up with it? Is he just holding on to something down there? He would have drowned or got ate by Bruce Jaws. Like, there's no fucking way. So yeah, then Ralph is dead, or, you know, the fake Ralph, and the teacher leaves these 4 other strangers in, like, the dance floor area, and we never see them again. So I guess they drowned or died in an explosion. So they're dead. And then they go onto the boat, and somehow the dog teleported, because when you see a POV of Jason's, like, looking down at the boat shot, like, you can see everybody on that boat and no dog. But then once Julius gets onto the boat, there's the dog. And then they get to New York, finally, like an hour and like 5 minutes into the film. And Jason is immediately there too. So did he hold on underneath their boat because he didn't want to get lost at sea? And that's why he didn't attack them either? Like, why didn't he kill them if he was holding on? It's just another question I have. But if he wasn't holding on to the boat, that means he was just walking all the way at the bottom. And how did he know which direction to go? Like, you didn't get attacked by any other fish down there? Like, it would be amazing if we got to see Jason versus a great white down there. Something out of like a zombie movie from that one movie. What's it called? Zombie, I think. The Italian horror movie where you actually get to see a zombie versus a shark. And Jason technically is a zombie. So that would have been fun to watch. You know, why not? You already got all this other dumb shit. Why not add on to it and have Great White versus Jason? I do like that shot of him looking at the billboard with the hockey mask on it, and it looks identical to his with like the same chevron markings, and he just kind of does the Michael Myers head tilt. Man, these characters have shit luck. As soon as they get to New York, they get mugged immediately, and Rennie's being shot up with heroin. She's gonna have HIV, most likely. Like, she survived Jason, but I don't think she's gonna survive that needle. She's gonna have HIV. And I like how quickly she, like, sobers up. Like, she's stoned out of her mind. Everything's all colorful. But then as soon as Jason starts, like, you know, chasing her, she's like, okay, let's split up, says Charles. Dumbass decision. That guy does not watch horror movies because you never split up. And then the gangsters get killed. So it's like Jason's the hero in this scene. He kills the rapist with the needle. And then the other guy, you're dead, fuckhead, shoots him 6 times. Apparently he lost count because he goes closer to shoot him again, realizes he's out of ammo. It's like, well, no shit. That's a 6-shooter. You shot 6 shots. And just like Sheriff Garris in part 6, he's like, maybe this one will do it. Like, the other 6 shots didn't kill him, but maybe the 7th one will. It's like, when will these people learn? You can't kill him. So if you look closely, it's funny. When VC, what's his name, Julius, when he's in the phone booth, Jason, like, hits it, but instead of breaking like it was supposed to, you can see the whole, like, window thing, like, just fall forward, and it breaks on his arm. Like, it's like the one shot they took, and they're like, fuck it, let's just go with it. going up to the roof was just a bad decision by Julius. Like, why would you go up to the roof when you got New York City right down that alley? A whole sea of people to mask yourself in and hide from Jason. It was just a bad decision. We get the boxing scene on top, and it's like almost 3 minutes long. Like, they must have shot that for a long time, because you can just tell how worn out the actor is by the end of it. And his knuckles are actually bleeding because he's just punching Jason for real. Like Kane Hodder said, you can punch me, go right ahead, make it look real, because Kane's a fan of making things real. That's why he's very aggressive. He wants it to feel real, he wants it to look real. And then at the end, he's just like, take your best shot, motherfucker. Punches his head right off, Killer Clowns from Outer Space style. Head falls in the dumpster. And this is the second time that Jason takes a severed head and puts it in a police car. And the way he is with that cop, brutal. When Kane Hodder like hits him, he shoves him up against that car and he like drags him into the alley. That's another just great like highlight of Kane Hodder's performance in this movie. It's just how aggressive he is. So after the cop gets killed, they decide, let's let Rennie, who's on heroin right now and tripping balls, drive. And she runs into the wall thinking she's crashing into boy Jason. She has another fucking vision. Except this is the worst looking one of them all. Like, he's actually deformed now. He's all slimy looking. And she crashes the car and causes her favorite t-shirt to blow up and perish. But if you look closely, Sean, her boyfriend, is in the back seat. But when they crash and Sean leaves, he's in the passenger seat. He was in the back left seat. Now he's in the front right seat. So now Sean is teleporting. Jason, the dog, and now Sean. And then we get that flashback explaining the history between Jason and Rennie, how she saw him. It's just a dumb flashback. It's not necessary. Take it out. And then we get another teleporting moment, and this one is so obvious. Like, the other ones were obvious too, but this one is just tenfold. Like, so Charles runs into this building. Jason's like behind them. He runs into the building, and not even like 5 seconds later, he's being thrown out the second-story window by Jason. What were they thinking? What? Nobody on set was like, hey, Rob, wasn't Jason just chasing Charles into the building? How is he already up there? It's like nobody gave a shit. And if anybody did question Rob, he must have just been like, oh, whatever. The audience will accept it. No. I want better writing. But anyways, yeah, Charles, he drowns in a bucket of waste. Good riddance, you dipshit. I do find it kind of weird that when he sees Jason coming towards him, he acts like he's seeing him for the first time. Like, he never believed that there really was a Jason until that moment. He's like, oh shit, it's you. It's like, who did you think it was? So, and then they're running through New York City. We finally get New York. We get that shot of Jason in Manhattan, and they're in the subway. Like, when they go out, there's no subway entrance in that section of Times Square. All right, any New Yorker can tell you that. I've been to New York, and I can tell you that. So that's just another funny thing to point out. And he's just chasing them. Like, he's just after them and them only, and it makes no sense. Like, why has he got this vendetta against them? To me, the movie should have been, like, once they got to New York, and they should have gotten to New York, like, 30 minutes into the movie at the latest, all right? There should have been 2 full acts at New York. And when he got to New York, he should have been slaughtering all kinds of people and creating just big hysteria, and then the cops get involved, a SWAT team, something like a Hatchet 3, where the cops have to try to take Jason out, and Rennie and Sean are the only ones that know what they're up against, so they're like the Troutman of Rambo. They're like, this is what you're up against, and this is who he is, and maybe you should try this to kill him. I don't know, like, they could, like, help the cops out. Something better, something more carnage. This movie, it just has so much potential, but it's such a disappointment. Yeah, like, they chase them into the diner, and we get Ken Kirzinger. He throws him up against the window. You can see how much taller he is than Kane Hodder. He's like a good 2-3 inches taller. So it was fun to see, like, current Jason at the time throwing future Jason into the mirror. I forgot to mention the door bust. I've said in all my other reviews, every time Jason busts down a door, and he does that in this one when he breaks into the diner. So, yeah, there's that. So then, like, they just go hide in the sewers. Why? Like, it's just dumb. Like, the third act of this movie should have been at the Statue of Liberty, not the fucking sewers. And then we get, oh, the sewers flood with toxic waste. Why? To kill the rats? What explanation is there for why toxic waste is flooding the sewers every day at midnight? Makes no sense. And for the longest time as a kid, I believed that was a real thing. Imagine an ending where Jason chases them to the Statue of Liberty and they go up and there's this fight between like Sean and Jason, and he makes a sacrifice, like he dies during battle, and Jason's distracted, and Rennie pushes Jason out of the Statue of Liberty, something like that. Like, that would be better already than this ending. All right? Imagine just Jason falling to his death 400 feet and it just explodes. Like, he hits the ground so hard, he lands on his head a weird way and it just snaps off. Something. Anything would be better than what the fuck this is. So she throws toxic waste on his face. He's screaming like a little bitch. We get that awful face reveal. And then here's all the toxic waste melting him away down to a little boy. And none of the waste, none of that toxic acid shit is splashing up onto Rennie. There's no way. She would have gotten hit by that shit too. Another dumb little thing I want to point out is like when that one sewer guy gets hit with the wrench, there's like a second delay between impact and blood hitting the wall. Like a whole second. It's like way off. A couple interesting facts before I go into my awards is that when you see Jason vomiting, it's actually Kane Hodder vomiting water. He drank 2 pitchers of water and he threw up on cue. And there's a deleted scene in this ending where they made this whole big-ass head that a little boy Jason was going to crawl out of Jason's head, and they cut that out. And the sewer scenes in this movie were actually shot in an abandoned high school. Now let's go into my awards ceremony, shall we? Alright, so the Hockey Mask Award for Best Character will go to Julius. Because he's the funniest character, he has some of the best lines, and he's the most memorable person in this movie outside of Jason. And the worst character in this movie is easily Charles. I think he's a pedophile, and he's just so overprotective of Rennie, and he makes dumbass decisions. He's annoying. And the hottest chick in this movie is the opening girl, Susie. She's the only girl that we actually get to see naked, and the Funny Bone Award for funniest moment will go to the Boombox Punks.
Yo, man, it's cool. It's cool, man. It's cool.
And the Clap Award for Best Scene will obviously go to Jason being in New York City when we see him in Times Square, and then chasing them through the subways, and then chasing them through the diner. All that stuff is great. And the best shot of this movie is, again, Jason in Times Square. That shot that just pans around him, and we see all the lights behind him, and he tilts his head. Favorite shot of the movie. And the best kill in this movie is Julius, who gets his head boxed clean off his shoulders, like in Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and his head rolls right into a dumpster. And the worst kill in this movie, for me, is Susie in the opening, because it's so drawn out, and it's so annoying that she didn't even jump off the boat. And those are my thoughts on Jason Takes Manhattan. What are your thoughts of this movie? Put it in the comments below. Is it your favorite? Is it your least favorite? Is it your favorite Kane Hodder? Jason, let me know. If anyone's still watching this, I know this was a long one. Sorry. Hit the like button if you like what you've seen here. Share it with all your friends. And become a subscriber today just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And until next time, auf Wiedersehen.